Imagine you're standing on a metal platform the size of a small car, 50 feet in the air. Below you, 72,000 faces looking up. Around you, 12 dancers who trust you with their lives. The music is thundering, the lights are blinding. And then you feel it. The platform beneath your feet shifts. Just an inch, just enough to know something is terribly wrong. This is Michael Jackson's nightmare on June 27, 1997, in Munich. And what happens in the next 90 seconds will prove why he wasn't just the king of pop. He was a leader who chose 12 other lives over his own legend. But to understand this moment, we need to go back 6 hours. June 27, 1997, 2 p.m., Munich Olympic Stadium. Backstage. Michael Jackson, a man in his mid-30s with a refined nose, deep, expressive, dark brown eyes, and high cheekbones, is preparing for rehearsal. One of the most important stops on the History World Tour's European leg. 72,000 ticketed spectators. Sold out. Michael's head stage engineer, Klaus Weber, a German engineer in his 50s, with short gray hair and an always alert professional expression, is doing final checks on the hydraulic platform. This platform, specially designed for Earth Song, is the heart of Michael's most dramatic performance. It rises 50 feet into the air, carries 13 people, and creates the show's biggest visual impact. Klaus places his hand on the metal support beam, cold, solid, but something bothers him. He's been in this business for 23 years. His instincts are rarely wrong. "Michael, I think we need to check this platform more carefully." Klaus's voice is measured but concerned. "I've felt slightly too much vibration the last 2 shows." Michael approaches, touches the platform's edge. "What kind of vibration?" Klaus hesitates. "It's probably nothing. I just want to be extra careful. This platform carries a lot of weight. You plus 12 dancers plus equipment. 6,000 pounds suspended in the air." Michael nods, but there's something in his eyes. Not worry, acceptance, because Michael knows stage dangers very well, too well. "Check it, Klaus. Every inch of it. I trust my crew because they need to trust me." Klaus nods and signals his team. For 4 hours, they check every connection point, every weld seam, every hydraulic line. Everything appears nominal, but that feeling in Klaus's stomach doesn't go away. 8:15 p.m. Concert has started. First 90 minutes are flawless. Michael is extraordinary as always. Every move precise, every note perfect. 72,000 people ecstatic. Backstage, LaVelle Smith Jr., Michael's lead dancer for 6 years, an athletically built man in his early 30s, with sharp features and extraordinary talent, is preparing for Earth Song. 12 dancers putting on costumes. They're joking, releasing tension. None of them know that, in 15 minutes, they'll experience the most terrifying moment of their lives. LaVelle approaches Michael. Michael sits quietly, eyes closed, concentrated. But LaVelle has worked with him for 6 years. He can see something's different. "Everything okay?" Michael opens his eyes. For a moment, LaVelle sees vulnerability, real concern. But then Michael smiles. That professional, reassuring smile. "Perfect. Let's go out there and give them a show they'll never forget." But what LaVelle doesn't know is that Michael hasn't forgotten the afternoon conversation with Klaus. Platform vibration. 6,000 pounds suspended in air. And now 13 lives will be on that platform. Michael's brain constantly calculating. Risk assessment, emergency scenarios. Because that's Michael's nature. Always protecting, always leading. 9:47 p.m. Time for Earth Song performance. Michael walks onto stage. Music begins. That powerful, emotional intro. The crowd goes wild. Michael starts singing. His voice fills the stadium. Raw emotion, pain for the planet, disappointment in humanity, every word loaded with intention. And then the moment comes. The hydraulic platform begins rising. Michael and 12 dancers take their positions. Slowly, dramatically, the platform rises into the air. 15 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet. 72,000 people look up, holding their breath. Because this is the performance's most iconic moment. Michael suspended in air, arms outstretched, pleading for the planet. Stage effects creating the illusion of earth pieces rising around him. But on the platform, LaVelle feels something, a vibration. Slight, but there. He looks at the other dancers. They feel it too. That question in their eyes, is this normal? And then Michael feels it. Stronger. A shift. The platform tilts slightly to the right. Just a centimeter. But Michael knows this should never happen. Michael continues singing, without stopping the performance, but his eyes look down, searching for the stage crew. And there he sees him, Klaus, below at hydraulic control. And Klaus's face says everything. Panic. Klaus yells into his headset, "Fracture in the north support beam. We're losing the main hydraulic arm. Need emergency descent. Now." But there's a problem. Emergency descent takes 15 seconds. And if the platform tilts excessively, those 15 seconds could throw all 13 people off. Michael knows this because Michael has memorized every emergency protocol, has read every stage plan, has calculated every risk. And right then, the decision moment comes. Michael, while continuing to sing loudly, slowly raises his hand, makes a special signal to the dancers, the signal they only taught in private rehearsals. Code red, don't move, maintain balance. LaVelle sees the signal, his heart about to burst, but he shows nothing. Eye signals to other dancers. Message understood. 12 professionals freeze. Don't move, barely breathe, because every movement could break the balance. Below, Klaus presses emergency descent button. Hydraulic system starts slowly lowering the platform. But so slowly, because fast descent creates too much strain on remaining beams. Triggers catastrophic collapse. Michael continues singing, as if nothing's happening. Voice never wavering, performance never breaking. Because 72,000 people are looking up. If they know something's wrong, panic starts, stampede starts, people die. Michael's brain is hyper-focused, calculating everything. Platform at 45 feet, descent speed 3 feet per second, 15 seconds remaining. But if north beam keeps cracking, maybe 10 seconds, maybe less. And then it happens. LaVelle hears it. Sharp, metallic crack. North beam, fracturing more. Platform suddenly shifts 2 inches to the right. 2 dancers about to lose balance. One stumbles. Michael reacts instantly. While singing, shifts his body weight left, compensating balance, and gives dancers another signal. Move towards center. Slowly, very slowly. 12 dancers shift their weight centimeter by centimeter. Towards center. Nobody rushing. Nobody panicking. Because Michael is leading them. Silently, powerfully, calmly. Klaus below starts sweating. Platform at 30 feet. 10 seconds remaining. North beam still holding. But for how long? 25 feet. 8 seconds. Michael still singing. Earth Song's climactic moment. That powerful vocal. That desperate plea. And every word is real. Because Michael isn't just pleading for the planet. He's pleading for 12 lives. For 13 families. For 13 futures. 20 feet. 6 seconds. LaVelle looks at Michael's face. Sweat pouring. But expression never changes. Concentrated. Determined. Protective. 15 feet. 4 seconds. Another crack. Louder. Sharper. Klaus holds his breath. No. Please no. Oh, 8 feet. 2 seconds. And then the platform hits ground. Safely. All 13 people alive. Klaus collapses to his knees, hands shaking. 23-year career. Never came this close. On stage. Michael finishes the performance. Last note sung. Arms lowered, and the crowd erupts wildly. 72,000 people standing, screaming, crying, complete ovation. None of them know what just happened. None of them know about 90 seconds of terror. All they see is art, beauty, perfection. But on that platform, 12 dancers are trembling, some crying, all realizing they're alive, and all knowing why. Michael kept them safe. LaVelle approaches Michael, places hands on Michael's shoulders. No words, just understanding, just gratitude, just brotherhood. Michael nods, and for the first time that night, LaVelle sees Michael's hands trembling. Michael was scared. The whole time he was scared, but never showed it. Never panicked. Never lost his leadership. Backstage, Klaus runs to Michael, eyes red, voice breaking. Michael, I'm so sorry. Should never have happened. If anything, had. Michael raises his hand, gently places it on Klaus's shoulder. Klaus, we're all safe. Your procedures saved us. Your quick thinking saved us. You deserve thanks, not apologies. Klaus starts crying. 23 years and never cried, but tonight was too close. Too damn close. That night in his hotel room, Michael sits on the bed, can't sleep. Every time he closes his eyes, he relives those 90 seconds. The platforms shift. The cracks sound. 12 faces looking up at him with trust, for leadership. And Michael understands something. Performance doesn't matter. Music doesn't matter. Even legend doesn't matter. What matters is people. People who trust him. People who put their lives in his hands. That night, Michael makes a decision. He'll have all tour hydraulic systems rebuilt. Whatever the cost, whatever the time. Never again will he take this risk. Next day, Klaus and team conduct investigation. Platform completely dismantled. And when they see what they find, they're shocked. North support beam wasn't just cracked, it was almost completely fractured. Only 3/4 of an inch of metal was holding 6,000 pounds. 3/4 of an inch, between 13 lives and death. Klaus gives the report to Michael. Michael reads silently. Face goes pale. 3/4 of an inch. 3/4 of an inch of metal beam. Klaus nods. They were a miracle, Michael. A real miracle. But Michael shakes his head. It wasn't a miracle, Klaus. It was leadership, discipline, trust. 12 professionals acted as one unit, never panicked. They did it because they trusted each other. And they knew I'd protect them. Klaus understands something then. Michael Jackson isn't just a performer. He's a real leader. Calm under pressure, clear in crisis, and always puts his team before himself. The news doesn't leak to media. Michael insists, because Michael doesn't want fans worrying, doesn't want 72,000 people's magic from that night corrupted with fear. But 12 dancers never forget. LaVelle says, years later in an interview, people remember Michael as a legend, the greatest performer. But I remember him as a hero. That night in Munich, 50 feet in the air, when everything was collapsing, Michael kept us safe. He used his voice, his body, his leadership, and he saved us. Every one of us. Michael Jackson didn't stop performing that night, continued his tour, but every Earth Song performance, every platform rise, he remembered those 90 seconds, and remembered why he did it. Not for music, not for fame, but for people who trusted him, people who needed him. And maybe that's Michael's greatest legacy. Not the songs, not the dance moves, but leadership under pressure, courage in crisis, and always, in every situation, putting people before himself. On that platform in Munich, in those 90 seconds, Michael Jackson wasn't just the king of pop. He was a leader, a hero, and the savior of 12 lives. The crowd didn't know. The world didn't know. But that night, Michael Jackson was never the same again. After the concert, when the lights went out and the roar of the crowd faded into silence, Michael sat alone in his dressing room, the glove still on his hand, the costume still on his body, but the performer was gone. Only the man remained. He looked at his reflection in the mirror, the face adored by millions, and whispered to himself, "Fame fades, but responsibility never ends." The reflection didn't answer. It didn't need to. Michael already knew what had to change, not just on stage, but inside himself. In the days that followed, he met with everyone. Dancers, technicians, engineers, stagehands. One by one, he shook their hands and looked them in the eye. And to each of them, he said the same thing. "We're not just putting on a show, we're protecting each other." From that day on, every rehearsal began with the same rule. Safety first, art second, always. And years later, when people asked him why he became so cautious, Michael just smiled. "Because I've seen fear in someone's eyes," he said, "and I never want to see it again." Years passed. LaVelle still talked about that night. Not about the performance, not about the music, but about the silence. Those few seconds when the platform shook and no one dared to breathe. In that silence, he said, Michael's calm was louder than any song he ever sang. Because that night, unseen by 72,000 people, the real Michael Jackson appeared. A man who could turn chaos into calm, fear into focus, and panic into unity. True greatness isn't proven when the spotlight is on you. It's proven when everything falls apart and you still stand tall for the people who trust you. The world calls him the king of pop, but for those 12 people who stood with him that night in Munich, he was something far greater, a protector, a brother, a leader. June 27, 1997, Munich, Germany. 13 people stood 50 feet above the ground. Because of one man's courage, all 13 came back down alive. Michael Jackson, more than an artist, a true leader, and maybe that's why his music still echoes long after the songs end. Because his voice wasn't just singing about love, pain, or hope. It was reminding us of something deeper, that no matter how high we rise, we all depend on one another to stay balanced. That's what he lived for. That's what he died believing. The lights, the fame, the applause, they were never the point. The point was the people, the ones on stage, the ones in the crowd, the ones who trusted him to lead. So when we remember Michael Jackson today, we remember more than the king of pop. We remember the man who kept 12 people alive 50 feet in the air and kept millions more believing in something greater. Michael Jackson, a leader in life, a legend in art, and a guardian of every soul that ever looked up to him. Forever remembered, forever respected, forever loved,